Hi, my name is Lauren Harris, and I did my internship with the King County Solid Waste Division this summer. So my internship and research was related to circularity and barriers and solutions to using salvage lumber. So in 2022, there was 184,736 tons of construction waste that was sent to landfills, which is very harmful to the environment. And one solution to this waste issue is circularity, which is a type of economic model that is restorative in design, so materials are being reused. And one way to do this is through deconstruction, which is a process of taking apart buildings to preserve materials for reuse. So the aim of my research is to understand current perspectives of circularity, identify barriers to using salvage lumber, and identify solutions to these barriers. And the two images at the bottom of the background section are boards and pallets, which are two examples of waste lumber that can be from deconstruction that are sent to landfills. So my three questions are: what are current perspectives of circularity? What are barriers to using salvage lumber? And what are solutions to these barriers? And I found this information through my internship and method section. So my internship, as I mentioned before, was done with the King County Solid Waste Division, and this involved collecting information on interest and knowledge about a salvage lumber warehouse through surveys, which you can see the data results in figure 2 and 3 in the results section, which I will go over in a little bit. And my research was done with a combination of human subject research and literature review. So this human subject research was done with surveys and interviews using a contact list that was given to me by my site supervisors and people we reach out to over email and LinkedIn. And the literature review was done using UW and Google Scholar databases using keywords such as circularity, circular lumber warehouse, and salvage lumber. So the first section in my results is about interest and knowledge in a circular economy. So figure 2, as you can see at the top, is about the level of familiarity about circular economy. And this information was gotten from surveys done for my internship. The data is shown with percentages on a Likert scale, which is a type of system used to scale responses from negative to positive. So as you can see, the majority of responses are either familiar or very familiar with a circular economy, with 72.8% of the respondents being in these two categories. And figure 3 is related to interest in participating in a circular economy. And this question was used to lead into a question about interest in a salvage lumber warehouse. So once again, it is from surveys and uses the same Likert scale. So as you can see, once again, the majority of respondents are either somewhat interested or very interested in the circular economy, with 81.8% of respondents in these two categories. This data is skewed because the contacts from the sheet are already interested in sustainability or environmental initiatives. So that might be a reason why a lot of the data is high levels of familiarity and interest. But because of this high level, it would assume that there are a lot of good reasons to go into a circular economy, but unfortunately there are a lot of barriers. So I found these barriers through a lot of my literature review, as well as many of the things were supported in the surveys and interviews. So I split my barriers into technology, regulatory, financial, and social. So some examples of technology barriers is lack of technology available to recycle materials, such as machines to get rid of nails and paint and other things that cannot be reused on lumber, as well as lack of reporting on building materials needed for deconstruction. So in the creation of buildings, there's not enough detail in reports. So the demoers don't know what materials are available and how they should take down the building in a safe way to preserve these materials. The second category is regulatory, so lack of policy initiatives, supporting circularity, as well as inconsistency in building codes and materials over time and location. So often you would think, oh, you have materials in a residential area, you can use it for another residential building. But if there's different policy codes, then it's hard to just reuse those materials in places you'd think it would be available. The third category is financial. So it's just expensive for usage, transportation, processing, and storage of salvage lumber. The fourth category is social, so just lack of interest or knowledge by consumers. The graphs in the top part are producers in this context, and often consumers have a lot of control. So if they don't know or are interested in it, it's hard to do, as well as just perceived barriers due to lack of knowledge. That kind of ties into the first reasoning. So the third section of the results is the solutions. And as you can see, there's little icons so you can switch between if you want to compare the solutions and barriers. So in technology, more research and creation of machines that can clean and repurpose the salvage lumber, so taking out the nails, taking out the paint, as well as just more detailed reporting about the building materials when being built. And that can also tie into regulatory initiatives to have necessary detailed reporting. And the second category is regulatory. So increases in these policy incentives. Examples are in like LEED certifications and current green building criteria that just support using salvage lumber, as well as just policy standardization of building code materials, so it's easier to switch between a new and an old building. And the third category is financial. So the salvage lumber warehouse falls into this category super well because it creates a sort of middleman. So transportation is easier, storage is easier, and therefore more cost efficient, as well as just training for specialized labor. So there's more people available to do these deconstruction jobs, and this can be done in vocational schools or just within industry training. The fourth category is social, so increasing this education and awareness about sustainability within the industry as well as for consumers. So within the industry, examples include workplace trainings, which also ties into the financial, as well as outside the industry, facilitation of client sharing experiences, so consumers can use each other's knowledge and experience to support interest and possibilities of using salvage lumber. So why is this important? A lot of this research, both in my project and other projects that I use and will be used in the future, can be used to implement solutions, strategies within King County and the industry. So within the industry, more availability of technological solutions, as well as these policy incentives, create more availability of reused material, and also support new deconstruction techniques, as well as support better cost efficiency because of things like the salvage lumber warehouse. And for the future and greater environmental impacts, policy incentives supporting circularity set an example for future environmental policies, as well as lumber cleaning technology and other sorts of technology and techniques pave the way for future research. So I hope you guys learned something. Thank you for coming. I just want to thank my site supervisors, Kinley Deller and Alex Erzon, my faculty advisor, Indranil Ganguly, my internship buddy, Anna Schmitz, and my friends and families for supporting me in this process.